Okay, Jim, I have tried everything with you. Please give me patience. Please, Lord, grant me the patience today. Please, Lord, grant me patience.
Cope.
This is just pure copium right now. I'm trying to get everything done here. I do apologize for any inconveniences with this. I do apologize for this, though. I am trying everything in my power to get it to work. I have rebooted my computer. I have done the fucking scans for it to make sure there was nothing wrong with my computer. Nothing is bad with my computer. So, if it does go down yet again, I'm just going to say fuck it. I'm going to link y'all to somebody else. That is all I have to say for it. I did see a super chat from Souls. I do apologize for that. I do apologize for everything that's happened. And if it gives me issues, please forgive me for it. I know that forgiveness is kind of like a hard thing to ask. But I am trying my best with it. I do apologize in advance. So, hopefully I got it to work this time. Hopefully. And if it does sound like I'm a little bit irritated, annoyed, I do apologize in advance for that as well. It's not on y'all. It is not... I was going to say, it's not even on Phil's case here, even though Phil's a fucking asshole. It's on me. I'm just going to say that it's on me. I should have prepared this a little bit sooner. I should have done that. I did not do that. I do apologize for it. And with that said and done, let's continue it. Hopefully, it doesn't give us issues.
1 and 2 on PC. That's right. In the 90s, I actually was a PC gamer. And I loved Diablo 1 and 2. I thought that they were addictive, fun, really great gameplay experiences.
We are trying again, Nugs. And if it gives us any more issues again, by that, OBS is giving issues again, I know Tractor Goose is streaming right now as well. I will just send y'all over to Tractor Goose instead, if it gives issues.
But these games have never really translated well ever since I've been a YouTuber. I tried it with Diablo 3. I tried it last year with Diablo 4.
This is Cope.
And essentially...
No, he never played Diablo 1 and 2. The only ones that he played were 3 and 4.
You know, when this game was coming out, at the end of 2024, I was going to skip it. I had absolutely no...
Funnily enough, this isn't my internet, though. I did reboot my modem, too, just to be safe.
...intentions whatsoever to play this game. Okay? You guys convinced me to. People were like, no, if you miss out on Path of Exile 2, you're going to
By the way, I'm skipping this part. Moving on.
Right, I'm going to buy... Done.
Right here. This is where we're at. Right around here, I believe. If it will load. And it says, oh, hey, reload everything.
Very well on my PC.
There we go.
The gameplay elements were getting more interesting the further in that I got. You know, at first it was just kind of basic punch and then charge up some abilities and use them. But then, as you can see, I started using chain lightning, and I started using this ice ability that would slow down enemies. And it was...
Yeah, okay, he looks kind of...
And it was actually getting better and better and better. But the problem with these games, which I believe they're called AARPGs, something like that. The problem with these RPGs is as follows. Fun to play.
I highly doubt... He said that he played during college, and I highly doubt he played Diablo 2.
Addictive to play, not necessarily fun to watch. And I think that...
There are some games out there that are fun to watch, but not fun to play, or vice versa. Tulip is one of those games that it's not fun to play. If you like playing it, that's on you. That's not a bad thing. But it's more of a game to watch.
It's exactly what happened here. Even though I had warned all of you, and I said, you know, I don't think this is going to work for a playthrough. Diablo 3 and 4 didn't work, so I don't think this is going to work. But people were like, no, Phil, you should try it anyway. We want to see you play it. So I bought it. I played it for one stinking stream.
Yeah, one.
Guess what happened during the stream? Attendance dipped. People got disengaged. Support was bad.
Of course, money.
And I'm like, you know, that's kind of...
Yeah, this is a problem, though. This is the one thing that you don't do. You don't blame the audience for it. Like, if I did something like in Phil's stature and I put this on there, we're like, hey, I gave it a shot. It wasn't my thing. But even then, I wouldn't make a fucking series or top 20 of the worst playthroughs.
What I expected. It's unfortunate. I didn't want that to happen. I did my best. I tried to learn all the elements. I was trying to learn the class. The problem with a game like this is it's very attention demanding. Take a look. there's tons of enemies on the screen at once. They're all after you and can kill you if you're not careful. So you got to be paying attention.
Well,
It's
no
not
shit.
a chill game or a laid-back game in any way.
It can be. Like, any game can be considered a chill game. Even Dark Souls can be considered a chill game. Black Myth Wukong can be considered a chill game if you choose to.
To be on your toes.
Yeah, the top 20 worst supported playthroughs. Yeah, call it that instead.
Enemies just come off the edges of the screen at any moment, and you got to be ready for it. So
yeah, it's called. Yeah, exactly. Who's that? G. It's called being focused.
Oh, unlike a lot of other playthroughs where we could either relax or have some social interaction, sadly, this one didn't turn out like that, and it just ended up flopping. You know, I now haven't, to this date, I haven't played it again, even though I bought the game.
Of course,
I haven't played it a second time, and to be honest, guys, no one's asked me for it. Like, no one's really, you know, saying, hey, what about Path of Exile 2 that you started? Are you ever going to continue it? Like, I don't think anyone's even said that to me. So it's sad because it's a game that I like. It plays like classic Diablo, which I enjoy.
Yeah, it's a game that I like, but I didn't go back to it because no one gave me money.
But the playthrough just didn't resonate with the audience, and that's why it makes it disappointing for me. Okay? It's not that the game's bad in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, spoilers. He does put Marvel Rivals on this game list. He puts that on there.
I like it, but hey, I gotta play stuff that's gonna resonate with my audience, correct?
Like what? Yeah, you had people asking you for fucking Path of Exile 2. You ignored them.
Number 19, most disappointing playthrough of the year. A game that most of you most likely do not remember even existed. It is called Silent Hill: The Short Message.
Everybody knows about Silent Hill: The Short Message. It was a terrible fucking game.
So for those who did not watch me play it, this was relatively early on in 2024. It was actually a free game.
Well, no shit.
Now, the reason that it was hype at the time was because at this time, Silent Hill 2 Remake hadn't come out, and we were all looking forward to and craving Silent Hill content.
Wasn't this shown off at Tokyo Showcase, like Tokyo Game Showcase, and they were showing off a lot of things, and this was one of them, and they said that it's out now for free, and they were showing off another game called Silent Hill F, which looked like it takes place in feudal Japan. Like, I'm remembering what happened there.
Oh,
These things with the 5 Australian social interaction. He just looked at the screen and says, "Why is no one talking with the chat? No one's talking with me. The chat is talking to each other, not him." Exactly.
More Silent Hill content. When this was announced that it was going to be a free game,
oh great, OBS is back at it again.
That was coming out, and you're going to be able to be sucked back into the world of Silent Hill and all of its survival horror. But that it was going to be a first-person game that had, you know, exploration element and a deep story. It was very intriguing. Hey, this sounds good to me. Plus, it's free. So when it's a free game, it's like, you can't really get too upset, correct? Why would you get upset if it's free? When I started playing it, I actually really liked it. Like, the beginning of the game, I felt was very, very interesting. It had this whole mystery aspect of, are the people or the girls involved in this storyline alive or dead? What really happened at this school? You know, what is hell going on? Is this girl trapped in Silent Hill or a parallel dimension? Or, you know, plus, there actually aren't many or any enemies until nearly the end of the game. So it actually makes you feel like a slow build towards actual risk of something that's going to be coming after you.
Well, this game had a lot of slow building, but this game was entirely boring. It was incredibly boring.
So here's the deal. I would argue first 2 hours out of this 3.5-hour experience are pretty good. However,
it's
the critical flaw in this game...
Yeah, it's basically like White Day or Detention or The Coma. It's essentially like that.
Is
not Tacoma, The Coma.
Final 45 minutes. Because in the final 45 minutes, they send you on a crazy chase. Now, I don't think that I actually caught that here. Actually, I did.
And he's just skipping through his content.
Wow, I grabbed the right video. So, in this final 45 minutes, as you can see, number one, the game's performance dips. You're in this crazy chase where the enemy is after you constantly, and you have to be running around perfectly, because if not, the enemy will grab you, and then you have to start the whole chase over. But the graphics start to dip, and the frame rate starts to suffer.
Oh, don't say anything about frame rate, Phil.
At the critical...
Stop.
moment when you need it to be the best, it actually starts to suffer, and that's unfortunate. Now, the problem is you have to run through this maze-like area. You have no idea where you are because there's no map. So you're just trying to get your bearings. If you make a wrong turn, oops, the enemy grabs you. You got to start completely over. Like, you literally have to keep moving at all times. If you stop, this enemy can grab you, and then you're starting over. The problem is, in this area, you have to grab a ton of stuff. You have to end up grabbing items and all kinds of things in this area.
Items and all kinds of
if
things.
If you don't grab them in the right order, guess what? You can't make progress. So what this ends up actually being is you, through trial and error, multiple times, failing. Okay? Basically, you have to keep trying over and over. And it becomes this tedious, endless loop. And it's very boring. It's frustrating. It's like, why is it like this? The rest of the game wasn't like this. It was actually better. This last sequence, no, don't get me wrong. The last sequence is creepy because there's finally a monster coming after you, trying to kill you.
Yeah, why is it like this?
It is so tedious, and the gameplay is just so outdated. Do you really want to redo this area over and over and over? Well, guess what? It took me nearly 45 minutes to beat this final segment. If I had known exactly where to go and what order to do it in, I probably would have beaten it in 5 minutes. But instead, I had to redo it and redo it and redo it and redo it. Very frustrating for anyone trying to beat this game after having sunk about 2 to 3 hours into it up to that point. And then lastly, on top of all of that, without spoiling the ending, it's a cliffhanger ending that doesn't truly explain how the game ended. So just think of it this way. You are investing all of this time, all of this effort to beat this final chase. You're getting so frustrated because you die a bunch of times, you have to keep redoing it.
If you're bad at it, but I'm sorry.
What? I wasn't listening.
And then you get to the ending that you've earned, your big deserved reward, and it's not a clear ending. You don't actually know what happened, and the game just ends in the credits roll, and it's incredibly disappointing. If anything, I've said this before.
Well, it's a free game, Phil. It's a free little short game.
I'll say it many, many more times, I'm sure, in the future. When you're investing your time into a game, especially if it's a game that's challenging or seems like you've gone through a journey, you want to have a good ending. You cannot have a wish-washy ending, and this game has the ultimate unspecific wish-washy ending. It's very disappointing, and it makes you feel like, man, maybe I shouldn't have spent the last 3.5 hours playing it. Even if it was free, it doesn't feel like they really put the effort in.
Again, it's a free game, Phil. You don't have to play it if you don't want to.
Give it an ending that was...
But that's why, though. That's how Silent Hill endings work. Their endings are always up for interpretation. Usually different. Even in Silent Hill 2 had that same thing, where the endings are up for interpretation. That's actually kind of a good thing, though. Also, Jimmy's thanks for 5 Australian. AKA, it's not holding my hand, a sign over here. Oh, dumb asshole. Exactly that.
Worth your time. Very frustrating, and it just stacked up to be one of the most disappointing games after I beat it, because I was like, man, I wish that I kind of had done anything else. I feel like maybe I would have had a better use of my time rather than wasting 3.5 hours.
Then again, though, Phil, that's what video games are. They're time killers. Also.
What's up, everyone? I see a lot more people have joined the stream. Welcome to anyone who is joining here in progress. These are the top... That's the thing. A lot of these survival horror games that are first person are basically trying to emulate what PT did. You know, PT was the innovator and everyone else kind of chased behind PT.
No. There is a game that came out last year that's actually really good. It's called My Side, where essentially you're playing as a character that's hooked on a mobile game, and you get sucked into the mobile game world and you're trying to escape it. At least that one was pretty good.
Which is funny because...
In my opinion, I actually did enjoy that game.
PT was just a playable teaser that never actually sold for anything. But yeah, definitely those kind of vibes.
You don't even know any vibes about survival horror, Phil.
Shall we continue? All right. My number 18, most disappointing playthrough of the year.
I love how it immediately goes straight to the what was it, the skyscraper? Or, yeah, the Space Needle in fucking Seattle. I love how it goes straight to that picture and then this.
Was... Marvel Rivals.
There it is.
Now you might say, wait, what? Marvel Rivals? Marvel Rivals is like the hottest game right now. Marvel Rivals has record numbers of players on Steam. People are playing the heck out of it, really loving it.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a pretty good game. It's basically classic Overwatch-style gameplay. The only difference being, as you can see, it's third person rather than first person, and it stars Marvel characters and properties.
Not all of them, but okay.
So why would Marvel Rivals stack up to be one of my most disappointing playthroughs of the year?
Overwatch, mostly.
Well, first off, I played it twice. I first played this game during the summertime when it had an open beta, and I actually liked it during the open beta. Then I came back to it later in the year when it had a full release in December, and I was having a good time with it. I liked playing all the different characters. I liked messing around with the different mechanics.
You didn't.
I thought that the different Marvel aspects of it were actually quite neat.
Yeah, that was another thing too with Marvel Rivals. He said that this was the fans' fault.
Although, I'll be honest, in some cases, I feel certain characters weren't really representative of what they are in the Marvel Universe, i.e. like Magneto, who in this game is very different from how he would, used in a comic book. But basically, I really enjoyed it.
Uh-huh, you did, huh?
And so, why is it disappointing? Because both times I played it, both in the summer and at the end of the year, I basically got initial interest where people were showing up and liking it and engaging with it and supporting it for a couple streams, maybe like 2 to 3 streams.
Yeah, wasn't Jay telling you what character to play as?
And then when I got to about the 10-hour gameplay mark, I noticed a distinct,
Drop?
not necessarily boredom, but stagnation.
That's boredom, Phil. Stagnation is also due to boredom.
People got to a point where they were like, we've seen enough. Every time you play, even though you're using different characters, it's not really that different. It's just Overwatch. Now listen.
Phil, you're praising this game, saying it was like Overwatch, but better. And now all of a sudden, oh, I hate this game because it's Overwatch.
I'll admit, it has an incredible amount of similarities to Overwatch, okay? But it's...
No, I was going to say, come on. This was before he did the stupid, give me $20 and I'll play the character you pick.
Good still. Like, that doesn't mean that that's bad. I mean, Overwatch, when it was at its prime in 2016, 2017, was one of the biggest games on the planet. It won Game of the Year at the Game of the Year Awards.
Remember, he said that the Game Awards don't matter, but now all of a sudden they do matter because Overwatch won Game of the Year in 2016.
People were happy.
And also, I'm pretty sure that nobody cared about Overwatch except for the art of it, if you know what I mean.
Having merchandise in the mainstream. I mean,
Art of it.
hell, I'm not even kidding you. I had a car sunshade that said Overwatch. It was so popular you could just buy it at a normal store.
Well, no shit, Phil. That's just like anything that goes mainstream.
You know?
Minecraft did the same thing.
Oh, it was on the level of games like Minecraft and stuff like that.
God
Or
damn
should we
it.
say, or Fortnite today. So then why
Well, no. You can't say Fortnite, Phil, because you hate that game.
does no one talk about Fortnite anymore? Excuse me. Why does no one talk about Overwatch anymore?
People still talk about Overwatch, but not for the reason that you're thinking there, Philip.
Ah!
Jimmy's next one, 20 Australia. It's funny how he puts top 20 as disappointment shows how much he has failed in 2024, and these games didn't so much fail. It's that Phil is sucking at them and also paying $40 for Dark Souls Remaster when it's only $10 on PlayStation. Well, you gotta understand, Jabeezy. He got that one because he wants to do mods.
Well, because Activision Blizzard ran it into the ground and ruined it, and now very few people talk about it or play it compared to what was like, 7, 8 years ago.
Again, people still talk about Overwatch, but again, the art. Thank you, Matthew.
So in the case of this, Marvel Rivals, this is a game that takes those great things from Overwatch and then on top of that applies flashy graphics and a really good Marvel, IP and combines it into a winning formula. So then why on earth won't people watch me play it? Why do people complain that it's boring, repetitive, and why do people not support? Don't really know, except people just say it's too much like Overwatch. So maybe in this case, it just really is a little bit too much. At the same time, when I look at this, I'm like, I feel like the game would have been better in first person, just being honest. Like, I think the third person aspect was their excuse to say they didn't blatantly copy Overwatch, even though it's apparent they actually did.
Honestly, I think it's a lot better in third person.
But basically, I think the game is fun.
Yeah, he's saying formula like he knows what that means.
And I'm disappointed because I actually was having fun picking new characters. As you can see, I was picking characters like Iron Fist or Venom.
I love how he's like, I love picking these new characters, dies.
Or Scarlet Witch or Hawkeye. And I was enjoying learning these new
Hawkeye.
characters and how to play with them. And at the end there, I had actually adjusted to keyboard and mouse. And I was actually getting even better with keyboard and mouse. And then
Pretty
I
much
just had a stream where
Lulu.
no one cared.
Yeah, pretty
And I
much.
was like, well, I can't continue to play a game that no one cares about. It's sad.
Oh, he's taking a sip.
So again, at least this one lasted like 12 hours each time that I played it. But man, just to be honest, again, this is very similar to
Overwatch.
Path of Exile.
Never mind.
Where I liked the game, I wanted to keep playing it, it didn't resonate with the audience, and I got to do what my audience tells me. I'm here to be an interactive live streamer.
No, your audience were actually telling you to keep playing the game, and you said, nope, no one's liking this, even though people in your chat were talking about the game.
I'm not here to just stream for myself. I got to play games you guys are going to show up for and enjoy. In the case of Marvel Rivals, sadly, that
Marvel Rivals.
only lasted about 10 hours, and then I had to move on.
Agreed,
Retro
scream.
Danny says Marvel Rivals gives me good memories of the original Overwatch. I'm still salty that Activision Blizzard ran it to the ground. Yeah, I know. I remember original Overwatch. It was quite good, wasn't it? It really was a great game.
The only thing I remember, Phil, from him playing Overwatch was him getting really obsessive with the loot boxes. That he was trying to go for, like, the rare pulls or the rare items or the legendary items in that game. That's what I remembered.
And it's sad that it ended up being what it was after just a couple of years. Too many changes, too many, things giving into whiny players, and then of course Overwatch League, and that dictated how the game was going to go.
Exactly, Lulu. He blames them all.
And stuff, and yeah, it's just sad. Okay,
Your life is sad, Phil.
let's continue on, my friends.
I'm not your friend.
Up next, number 17.
I thought you were trying to sue me, Phil.
Most disappointing playthrough
I didn't see this one.
of 2024 was. You may not even know what this is yet. You ready?
Call of Duty.
The campaign of Call of Duty
Oh, my
Black
God.
Ops 6.
Why?
All right?
Why the campaign?
I was so disappointed by the campaign for a couple of reasons.
The campaign is fine. What?
Number one, a lot of people had told me that it was good.
Yeah, it's
And I was
good.
like, oh, good. If it's
Everybody
good, then I can't
tells
wait.
you
I
people
can't
are
wait to
good.
play this.
I even asked around. They said the campaign was good. What?
This campaign, Call of Duty usually is one of the biggest bang for your buck packages of any game all year.
Yeah.
You get your single player campaign, you get
Uh-huh.
your multiplayer,
Uh-huh.
you get your zombies, you get
Uh-huh.
your battle royale.
If you do get a mode that has mostly Black Ops has zombies, but Modern Warfare it has Warzone.
in Warzone, and all of that is varied and
Yeah, that's
different.
another thing too. He's putting all these games on here that so far he didn't get enough money for and he didn't finish.
And so, that's a great amount of content for $60. In this case, now I guess it's $70.
Phil,
And
you play this on Game Pass. Shut up.
this year it was on Game Pass. It's like, so what's to lose, right? So I played the campaign. The whole first 45 minutes is a puzzle. They literally throw
What?
you into a mansion, which is your new
Oh my
base of
God.
operations. And they're like, here's a puzzle to solve. Now, you don't have to solve.
That's not a puzzle. Phil, you're supposed to explore the house then go back to woods. There was no puzzle there. Are you stupid motherfucker? Anyway, to be 622 Australia. What's the bet he put the story and multiplayer separately? Yeah, he's gonna put it separately.
it.
Yeah, he says that there are puzzles in COD.
But obviously, if it's thrown in your face, here it is, you want to solve it.
There was no puzzles in Call of Duty.
So I ended up 45 minutes trying to solve this puzzle with Black.
Also, by the fucking way, as a reminder, that is your overall HUD for each mission in the campaign. That's your HUD. That's where you go back to, and then you pick your next mission. And he's saying that's a puzzle.
lights and secret codes and things like that.
Again, you're supposed to explore that later.
And then they throw you into the game, and what's the first level? Stealth. Where you're creeping around like Hitman or the character from Dishonored,
Yeah, because you're in Black Ops, Phil.
and you're trying to not get detected and to take down a few guys, but basically not cause a ruckus. Everything that's like the antithesis of Call of Duty. Oh yeah, here's the level that I wanted to show you. Doesn't this look like Call of Duty to you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, when you
yeah, it's
you're
Black Ops.
like James Bond and you're going undercover into presidential political rallies and you're committing espionage and stuff. Yeah, that's Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, it's Black Ops. That's what Black Ops is. His chat is roasting him. I don't blame him. Jimmy, thanks for two. Shout out with the puzzle boss of Call of Duty. Yeah, shout out to that puzzle boss.
The weirdest part about it is once you get
But compared to the previous Call of Duty campaigns, it's disappointing. No, I disagree. Modern Warfare 3's campaign was disappointing.
through these parts and later on you
This is a step up from it.
actually get to parts that have gunplay in them. The gunplay sucks. The gunplay is boring and repetitive. And listen, I understand that it's Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty is meant to just be kind of a run and gun
I agree, Whitney.
game.
That's how I
But I'll
feel.
be honest, I've played the campaigns of most of these. I didn't play last year's Modern Warfare 2 because I heard it was atrociously bad.
Modern Warfare 3. That's the one you didn't play, not 2.
Or was it Modern Warfare 3? Whichever last year's was. But
It was
I
3.
played pretty much every campaign up to now.
Yeah, and you didn't play the third one for Modern Warfare 3, the remake version of it, because you listened to what everybody said, a.k.a. reviewers.
Tried, guys. I really tried playing this campaign.
You
I
didn't.
couldn't stand it. I was literally falling asleep, so bored playing this game that I just didn't care. I just can't play it anymore. So I quit it. Again, something that I was told by so many people was good. And then when I went to test it, it's like every single thing that doesn't feel like Call of Duty. And then when it gets to the parts that are like Call of Duty, they're incredibly repetitive and boring, uninspired. No real interesting set pieces or anything. Instead, it was just like, what happened here?
What happened is that you suck at the game, Phil.
So, big disappointment for me.
That's all that is. He sucks at it. Also, Vanguard, thanks for the 5. My bad. I tried to join in. I did a few, but Scott Chio's over mid. He's a PDF file. I pop in voice chat, calling his bullshit one last time and not playing with this. Yeah, don't play with them.
Me, you know, when I bought the Call of Duty package, I was hoping to respectfully get, you know, content out of all of it.
Yeah, the first actual mission was a tutorial, and he couldn't figure it out.
And I'm never going back to the campaign. It just sucked. I don't know what else to say. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people liked it and disagree with me, but that's my opinion.
Even though the campaign was fine.
The number 16 most disappointing playthrough of 2024, Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga.
A game he finished.
Or was it Senua's Sacrifice? Or was it Senua... Does anyone even remember?
Senua's Saga. Senua's Sacrifice was the first one.
And I think this is the point that I want to make.
I don't care for the Hellblade series, but even I know that Senua's Saga was the second one.
When they said they were making a sequel to Hellblade, I think people got excited.
Not me.
Whoa, well, Hellblade was an original game for Xbox One. The graphics at the time were absolutely outstanding. It had an interesting visual style, a bunch of cool puzzles and combat, simple, but still interesting and fun. And it had a very unique perspective where the main character probably has some level of mental illness, hallucinating things, hearing voices in her head.
Yeah, so mental disorders.
You have to ask, what is really going on? Is anything you're seeing real, or is this all in her head? Poor Senua could be suffering a mental breakdown right now. Like right now, this orb that she's putting into a stand, is this real? Is she imagining?
I'm not a big fan of Hellblade. I tried the first one, couldn't care for it, and then I didn't really bother with the second one.
This? You don't know. Are you even going to ever get answers for that? Probably not, okay? So the first game, Hellblade 1, was great for the time. Hellblade 2 came out in 2024 on the Xbox Series S and X, and here, this is representative of me playing it on the Xbox Series X, for the record. As you can see, outside of the lighting elements, do you notice something? First off, the game is locked at 30 frames per second.
And, again, how is that an issue? Like, this is how really spoiled Phil is when it comes to gaming. He wants everything to be 60 frames. He wants everything to have the best visuals. But there are some games out there that are locked at 30 or are better played at 30 frames, and the visuals don't look that great, but the games are still fun. Also, yeah, I'll do that for you.
I don't care.
That is insanely stupid. If this is supposed to be a truly next-gen game, this is supposed to be a flagship title for Microsoft under their umbrella, you need the game to perform up to standard, and it doesn't. Running at only 30 frames per second is completely unacceptable in
No, you're coming one of these people.
2024. The game should have been running at 60. I don't care about how much lighting and the detail. It has to run at 60 frames to be considered a viable, top-tier stuff.
There are some games out there that don't need to run at full 60 and yet can run just fine at 30.
Game, and it doesn't. Number 2, sadly, the game just didn't do enough to really impress or innovate. In fact, if you play this one compared to the first one, it's almost the same. There's a few distinct differences.
No shit, it's the sequel.
For example, there's some big boss fights. However, the boss fights just kind of water down to very simple puzzles rather than actual challenging, interesting fights.
He says.
And once again, in regards to the gameplay elements and the story, it's pretty much just another version of the first game.
It's a sequel.
There's nothing really added that's so different or groundbreaking. It kind of feels like you're just continuing on with the first game. This very
like this, what a sequel is supposed to do. Hello?
Well, could have been sold as a DLC or presented as one for the first game. I don't think anyone would have noticed the difference. And in fact, I think that's the most notable thing. You know, the
DSP tries it. Can't comprehend what a sequel is.
First Hellblade game came out so many years ago. This one just came out last year. And do you see major upgrade in the graphics? No. And the graphics are what the first game was mostly known for.
Not really, actually.
Let's also be honest. Do you see anything too groundbreaking with the game or the actor's performance? No, it's pretty standard, right?
Hey, didn't the actress for Hellblade 2 win Game of the Game Award for Best Performance? Over the fucking guy that played James Sutherland and over the what was the girl's name? Not the girl's name, but the one that played Aerith from fucking Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? correct me if I'm wrong.
Ah!
Means X with a 5, Australian. Just say the game was bad, Phil. Stop being such a fake ass tech boy, because we all know that you treat tech with your setup reveal. And movies like Thanks for 2. I get your 60 frames right here, Phil. The big old
She
middle
won
finger.
Performer of the Year.
Yeah, she did.
Why? Why would the Game Awards award her Performer of the Year?
Because she put on an act that was convincing to the voters, convincing to the jury. Although, granted, I would have said that the guy who played James Sutherland deserved to win. But again, that's just my opinion.
For a subpar game, a subpar story, and it just felt like it was a carbon copy of the first. Like, what
Carbon
happened?
copy.
I don't know. So this was a game that I was so disappointed in. I was actually hyped for it. I really liked Hellblade 1. And I thought it was going to be more of that same level of greatness. And instead, it just kind of fizzled and fell on its face and just wasn't that good. Okay.
Hey, Phil, you play this on Game Pass, right?
Continuing on, folks.
Nah, Rarefield W. It was the game's version of Oscar bait. Brandon White got fucking robbed.
By number 15.
Nah, this is not a Phil W.
Most disappointing playthrough of the year
Disappointing. He said disappointing, guys.
was.
Like all your streams not good.
Oh,
I know
that's
my streams
right.
aren't
I know you
good.
guys are probably going to be like, what? Multi-versus.
This one I would have to agree. Not for the playthrough itself, but how the game ran after it was out. I have to agree with Phil on this one. The game did not do well after getting out of beta.
Okay?
It did not do well.
So, for the record, Multiverses is a game that actually was out years ago in early access / beta, right? When the game finally had a full release this year, a lot of people were questioning whether it was going to be well received and was it going to be a good game or not. I was one of them. You know, I liked Multiverses many years ago. What was it, like 2.5 years ago when it was in that open state? I actually liked the variety of characters that were in it, their different play styles. I just found it very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's like Smash Brothers.
So what happened with Multiverses when it came out was that you had two distinct groups of people. Some people were curious to see this is going to be a full release game that was going to be worth playing. And others just immediately said, well, we already saw this 2 years ago. We know exactly what the game is.
Exactly, yeah.
And they feel like it's just a kind of a knockoff of Smash Brothers that will never live up to the level of competitive gameplay or hype of Smash Brothers. And therefore, they just immediately wrote it off and said, it sucks. So for me, I landed somewhere in the middle because I was definitely curious with the final release and these new characters, such as you can see the Banana Guard and Jason Voorhees.
I don't think he knows where the Banana Guard came from.
You know, were they going to be good? Were they going to significantly change the way the game was played? You know, it was going to be pretty exciting.
Is it?
When it released, I did play it a good amount. And immediately I noticed some distinct changes to the game that I didn't like.
Like
As you
what?
can see this weird color filter over teams. I didn't understand what they were doing with this. And I actually believe what happened is they fixed it. And now this color filter is gone or toned down because everyone complained that it was way too strong and very, very,
Really?
annoying. No
Yeah,
one liked
that's
this
a
color
disappointment.
filter. In addition, the game played decently, but it had some lag issues for sure. I wish that it didn't have as
Just
many
like a
lag
Smash
issues.
clone, I guess.
But for the most part, it played pretty similarly, I
It
would
is,
say,
Jetto.
to the original from a couple years ago, the early access that is, with a few distinct disappointments. For example, one of my favorite characters of that early release was Velma, and Velma is absolutely terrible in this final version of the game. They nerfed the living crap out of her to the point where, like, there's no point in her even being in the game. That's how bad she actually is. Now, lucky for me, certain characters like Bugs Bunny, who was one of my other big favorites, actually is quite good in the final release. But again, the problem here was a game like this is going to require a lot of time investment to learn how to play it.
Not really.
There's a lot of character selection. You know, this is sounding familiar, kind of like Marvel Rivals, where you got to play different characters, learn, take time to learn and get good and stuff like that. And guess what happened? I basically played it twice. And by the time that I wanted to play it a third time, everyone said, stop playing this game. It's just
So essentially everybody that told him, hey, don't play it anymore. But people wanted him to keep playing it. But he didn't want to play it because no money.
Smash Brothers knockoff. It's just another game that plays similarly to another game. It's not very good. Drop it.
So what?
And you know what? I'll be honest.
No, another thing that he did too, he had a poll. He actually put a poll in his chat. And people were voting for him to say, yes, play it. And he completely disregarded the poll. He's like, well, this is troll voted, so nope. I'm not gonna play it anymore.
Wish that people had been more open-minded because I think I would have liked it if I had tried more characters and played it longer. It just seems like with my audience, either a game immediately resonates and is a hit, or people just don't like it at all. And sadly, that's what happened with this game, just like Marvel Rivals, where I was enjoying it. I wanted to try new characters. I was having a good time, but after a couple of streams, everyone got bored with it, okay? So what's funny about it, though, is that apparently the game did not do well. Someone even just said they just checked right now. Only 700 people are playing this game on Steam.
Yeah, it didn't do well because it didn't do as good as the beta did.
Completely and utterly failed, and no one is playing it. That's pretty bad for a game that had this kind of a hype and budget put behind it. All these IPs were purchased and licensed to be in the game. The fact that this game right now is a failure and no one's really talking about it or playing it is pretty darn sad. So, Multiverses came up a flop. It sucks because there was 2.5 years of anticipation.
What game was a hit? I would say Metaphor.
And I was very excited for it, but sadly it didn't resonate. And again, another one that ended up getting dropped because...
How did it fail? Because it was free?
People just didn't like it.
Brian
asked, do you think that game devs deserve a second chance so they can sort out a game like this after release? Listen, in this game, it's free. You didn't pay anything for it. So I'm down with the game coming out and having issues that they want to tweak and get better because it's free. Now, if you paid $70 for that game and it came out unfinished, wonky, and messed up.
I don't think this game would have been sold for $70. I guess if I had to say if this game actually had a full price, $30, maybe 40.
Up, then you had a problem. But the fact that it's free, I don't really have too many complaints. I think that it was a good game. I really do.
No.
Okay.
Oh no, on Phil's stream, he seems to rage quit everything. Even Street Fighter 6. Who knows?
Retro Danny says he agrees.
I say number 1 is the worst game will be Stellar Blade.
The color filter was annoying, and also he didn't like the certain
40
characters were nerfed,
tops.
so there you go.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth the 70.
All right,
20
folks.
maybe. 20, 30, or 40.
Up next,
Depends on the edition that you
the
get.
number 15, excuse me, the number 14.
Number 15.
Most disappointing game playthrough of the year for me. That's right. I think you recognize it. Dragon Age, The Veilguard.
You know, that one game that he got for the PS5 Pro?
For someone who liked all
I know, G, I get it.
of the Dragon Age games up to now, including Origins, 2, Inquisition, this game I actually got hyped for because it's been so long, nearly a decade since the last Dragon Age game came out. And we heard so much about it over the years and then just kind of absolutely nothing, right? It was like radio silent for a while. And so all of a sudden, there started to be a blitz of information in the last like 6 to 8 months about this game. Like, this is so weird that we heard nothing. Now all of a sudden, everything at once.
Yeah,
that means something bad.
That's also
right?
true, Seal.
Now,
This game was also donated.
Mentally, a viewer of mine wanted to see me try this game so badly, they freaking donated a PS5 Pro for me to play it on. Didn't need a PS5
Highly doubt that.
Pro because I had a gaming PC by then, but they really wanted to see me try out this game on there to see how it would perform. To be honest, as you can see, it performs really well. This game actually runs incredibly well on the PS5 Pro. I didn't have
My stream isn't running very well, apparently.
any issues with frame drops or graphics. I think actually its strongest
No, he never finished this game. He dropped it because nobody was supporting it.
was actually the graphics, that they were so good that I was really enjoying that aspect of the game. But my
I could care less.
problem with Dragon Age The Veilguard is very simple. It is an incredibly slow-moving, snail's-paced game. I probably played it for around 15 hours, maybe 20, and I couldn't even tell you what was going on with the story. Let's see. 2 elven gods were released from some kind of alternate dimension, and they were trying to take over the world, and you were just working with allies to try to stop them, except literally in the first 20 hours, you do absolutely nothing to stop them. You end up doing side quests, busy work, and filler content that have nothing to do whatsoever with your end goals of the plot. So what you're telling you is this game's going to be like 100 hours long. You're going to spend 80 of those hours not actually doing the main story.
All of this, I'm just like, meh. He just dropped the game, and he's like talking all this shit. It's like, it's a good game, good game. Why'd you drop it then, Phil? Why didn't you complete it?
Is that okay? Well, I guess if the story was engaging and immersive or whatever. But for me, I found it hard to even remember what I was doing in certain areas. the map kind of sinks into other areas, and so you kind of
Same
all
here,
blends
Rockman,
together
same.
because it all is kind of a seamless world, which could usually work, except in this case, you end up
Also, Japanese things for 2 Australian. This cost me 800. I mean, 750. I mean, it was donated.
stumbling upon another quest, and then another half of a quest, and then a boss challenge here.
Yeah,
and this
sparking
here.
zeros on
And half
list.
the time,
Not
you don't even
surprised.
know what you're doing or if you're doing the right thing for the quest you were trying to do or not, and it just ends up this kind of endless time sink.
Yeah, keep it up. It's the audience.
In fact, I would almost argue that is the best way that this game could be described. It's a time sink. If you're looking for a game where you can just kind of gel and not really care about what you're
Yeah, I'm
doing,
loving 'em
but
too.
you want
I'm
some
not
flashy
fish. Loving 'em too.
graphics, some interesting gameplay elements, and screw the story, that's good. That's Dragon Age the Veilguard. But if you're there for a riveting, gripping storyline, it's just not there, at least not in the first 20 hours. And I'm sorry, I'm just not going to keep sinking time into a game where I just don't know what's going on and I'm bored.
But yet, your chat would hold your hand.
You know, and that's the problem. Ultimately, is the gameplay loop's addictive, the graphics are good, but the story is
Yeah,
boring.
the
Do you
victory
want
sip.
a boring story in a 100-hour RPG? It's pretty much going to be a major focus of the game.
It's only boring, Phil, if you make it boring.
So why the holy heck is the story so boring? Now, I'm well aware that this game also has elements that are incredibly leftist-leaning politically and culturally. Apparently, there's this big woke
Culturally.
moment that we all watched and reacted to on my podcast at one point. And to be honest, I wish that that wasn't in there because a lot of people have written the game off because of that content, okay? For me, I've been saying this recently, keep politics out of my games. I don't want politics or culture wars in my games.
Here's the thing when it comes to culture wars or politics. If it's written in the game and it makes sense for the game's world, and if it's done right, then there's nothing wrong with having politics or culture wars in the game. However, if it's just like pushing an agenda in there, fine, I see your point. But if it's written into the game well, then politics aren't a problem.
I just want my games to be fantasy so I can unplug from reality and have a good time in a game. I don't want to boot up a game and be like, oh, now I got to deal with people saying that this person is trans and that's bad or good. Is this person represented well? Do you remember the pronouns? It's a fantasy video game. I want to escape from all the chaos of reality and not have to think about any of that shit when I'm playing the game, so the game misses the mark when it tries to shove those kind of topics down your throat. Now, I am happy to
Like a trans.
report, again, in the 20 hours that I played, I didn't encounter any of that content. It must be further into the game. So I'm glad that at the very least it's not shoved down your throat at the beginning. But still, the fact that it's in there, you knew it was going to be a thing of contention. And the thing is, the game devs do it too.
Also, another thing, Jimmy, thanks for the Australia. This is a good point. I don't want politics. Makes DSP politics.
I think that BioWare, in this case, wanted the game to be talked about no matter what. And they were possibly afraid that if they didn't put that kind of content in the game, maybe people would say it was kind of a subpar game and wouldn't care about it and wouldn't talk about it. So they had to wedge that stuff in to get it to be the hot topic about the game and cause controversy around it so that people would discuss it. And it worked. People absolutely discussed this game for about a month. And now it's as if it never existed. You could get it for a very deep discount everywhere. And it's sad because
I love how he says deep discount. You could just say get it at a discount, Phil.
for a game that has like 100 hours of content and
Bruh.
looks this good, you would think that the effort would have been put in all around. But sadly, it looks like the gameplay was the focus, not the story. If you don't have a good story in a game that's a role-playing
True,
game,
Tino,
hence,
true.
you know, you want to
Oh,
play
not
the
Turtle.
role of a character in a fantasy setting and, you know, live their
Are you doing this to my OBS corner, demon? Are you doing this?
story. Well, if I don't care about their story, then your RPG has failed. And that's the main problem with Dragon Age the Veilguard. No one really cares about the characters, so why play the game? That's why I dropped it. I was so bored, I just didn't want to continue.
Or you weren't making money.
Okay, so I have a couple shout outs to do. And then
Yeah,
we're
I
going to
think
continue with our
Cordeem is making
countdown.
this happen.
Thank you to the following couple of people. So we start with a donation Marvel playthrough. Because, ladies and gentlemen, oops, was that 20?
Hold on. I'm skipping ahead through all of this, though, because apparently he... Oh, I got money.
Your
Who cares?
contribution and for supporting my content.
Yeah, who cares? I don't care about this, Phil. And apparently he got
Thank you so much.
He got $50 from this shitty little list. Okay,
No, we
moving
are
on.
not. Absolutely not. Our next most disappointing playthrough of the year.
Everything is dead. Everything dies today. I just don't understand why. I hate OBS today.
The 13th most disappointing playthrough was Dragon Ball Z Sparking 0.
Phil, you didn't rage quit this game. You in-task managered quit this game.
Free 0-calorie cola. Is it just me, or did Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero sound like a low-calorie beverage? It totally did to me. Like, that's what I thought it was.
Sparking Zero? No.
You know, the name is just such a bizarre name, okay?
What?
Plush, thanks for the year. If people don't pay, Phil gets bored. Simple.
All right. So why Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? Why is this on the countdown of the most disappointing playthroughs of
Yep, that joke was so bad, killed my stream.
the year? By the way, good evening, Jade. Good to see you. And good evening, Bookworm. He says, the ticker style contributions bar is growing on it. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. So why? Why this game? Why this countdown? Okay? I'll tell you why.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I haven't played a Dragon Ball game in many years.
Dark Side Phil is.
I played a few. I played Kakarot.
Bizarre
I
name.
played Xenoverse 1 and 2, and I may have even played one more years ago. I know I played Dragon Ball Fighters as well. Their actual 2v2 2D fighting game. Okay.
Which you hated because of rollback netcode.
Am I?
Or actually, you hated it because of the gameplay itself online. You got your ass kicked.
Okay. Well, why then
This whole list is just the games that made him the least amount of money. Yeah, or the games that bored him.
was I not interested in this one? Because every time that there's a Dragon Ball game, it's literally the same story. You relive the same classic events where Goku and his friends are trying to defend the world from invading enemies like Vegeta and Nappa, and then it turns into the Frieza saga and the Cell saga and the Android saga and the freaking Boo saga, and the same stuff. And I've now relived that plot line so many times. I'm just not that interested in it anymore. As a kid when I was growing up, I loved Dragon Ball anime.
Yeah, and then what was it? You talk about how you watched Dragon Ball Z during the Akira Toriyama tribute.
I just don't see the appeal of living the same events over 7,000 times. So when this game was coming out, people sold me on it and said, no, Phil, you don't understand. The campaign of this game is very different. This campaign is actually going to be you doing what-if scenarios.
Yeah, this whole stream is just terrible.
Where you can actually do things differently than they actually happened in the real anime. And therefore, you could see alternate scenarios. Well, that was definitely present. Problem was, the game didn't explain how to do it. So half the time, you'd get these scenarios by accident and then realize you played yourself into a corner and had to replay a stage repetitively over and over to unlock another scenario to continue on with the game. That's frustrating. Sadly, it's pretty outdated game design. I don't really know what they were going for there.
They were going for what was it? They were going for like Budokai Tenkaichi gameplay. That's what they were going for.
So by the time that I had grinded through and finally completed Goku's plotline, I was so exhausted, I wasn't too interested in doing
Yeah, the game's fault. Everything's going to be the game's fault.
any others, okay? Now, you want to talk about the online play? Well, you're seeing a bit of it right here. The game has an insanely large roster of characters.
Phil, what we're seeing is menus. We're not seeing in the online gameplay.
And the way that it works is essentially you are making a balanced team. Each character has a ranking number. So you could pick a very powerful character, but that character has a high ranking number, meaning you're going to be able to pick less characters than, say, if you pick the team with all 5 low-ranked characters. I compare this to the team-based system that they used in the Capcom vs. SNK series many, many years ago, where you could have like a rank 1 or ratio 1, ratio 2 character, but then you could have a team of 4 ratio 1s or only 1 ratio 4. So it's kind of a similar premise.
Similar premise,
The problem is,
just like, I don't know, Budokai Tenkaichi.
none of it really matters, because once you get online and you start playing, all the combat looks just like this. Basically, everyone just goes at each other and spams. And yes, there is some strategy to it, don't get me wrong.
Again, this is just like Budokai Tenkaichi. This was supposed to be the 4th game, but they changed it to 0.
There's different
Or
classes of
Sparking 0.
characters. There's faster characters, there's more projectile trapping characters, there's more tankish characters. I'm actually using a tankish character in this video, a giant robot that has super armor, okay? But ultimately,
Yeah, you're using broken characters.
it's an incredibly simplistic game. Does it have nuances to the control scheme? Yes, but here's what it basically boils down to. Attack, attack, attack until someone presses an escape button, then they try to counterattack you, but then you can do your own escape, and that's it. I'm not kidding, that's the game. Like, it's just attack, counterattack, counterattack, counterattack. Oops, we're all out of energy. Got to run away and recharge, and then go at each other again. There definitely is a higher level strategy to it, but the point I'm making here is it's just not a very fun fighting game. which is essentially what you're trying to do is make a game that has elements that are fun, and it just becomes kind of a real repetitive experience. And here's the other part.
Yeah, he doesn't understand that this is an arena fighter.
That's really stupid. You would think in a game like this.
Yeah, this stream has just gone off the rails at this point. I'm getting to the point where it's like, OBS doesn't want to cooperate with me, and also, the bad weather's not making it easier.
That's right. You'd want to pick the powerful characters. But no, the best way to play this game online was to pick a team of weaker characters who basically can do good combos and just drag it out. I mean, hell, I played this game a grand total of twice online. Ladies and gentlemen, I won the vast majority of the matches.
Yeah, can you provide the sources of that, Phil?
And a lot of them,
most of the time that you won, though, is by pure luck.
I didn't even know what happened.
Snow or rain, cold.
I didn't know how I won.
That's it, G. It's just cold.
Well, Phil, you had a team
I
of
don't know why YouTube's kicking people out.
low-ranked characters, and time expired. So because you had 3 characters alive and they only had 1, you won. And I was like, yeah, but literally they spanked me. They were kicking my ass the whole time. No, you won. You have more health. But what? It didn't make sense.
How am I sending people to a different stream? That's weird.
The online play just doesn't make sense unless you sit there and study it. But here's the thing, and here's what I was saying at the time that the game came out. The game really feels like a masher. It totally does. It feels like a button masher. And when you're playing a button masher, you're going to play it as a party game, right? You're going to team up with your friends.
Yeah, that's odd. Because I actually had that as like a backup in case like if the stream doesn't go. Why did it kick people over there?
You're going to jump into it, mess around with the various characters for a little bit.
That's the funny thing. I put that as like a redirect just in case. Just in case if this stream doesn't do well because of OBS. That's so weird.
And after you mess it around as a party game, you're probably never going to pick it up and touch it ever again. But so many people when the game
this stream is a disaster because OBS is not doing me any favors right now.
released were like, oh, it's going to be a competitive fighter. You've got to invest time in it and all of that. But that's never happened. Like, did you know that within 1 month of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero came out, they lost over 90% of the player base? Did you hear what I just said? I'm going to repeat myself. You ready?
You don't have to.
Over 90.
Nope, don't have to.
Competitive party game. Everyone bought it, played it a little bit.
No, I know, War Dog Leader. What happened is that I put as a redirect to that stream just in case if OBS decides to say, hey, I fucking hate you right now. Which I don't know why YouTube did that. I say I'm not redirecting just yet.
Got bored, never went back. And that's sad. I feel like it would have been a better game if they had sound mechanics, if they had a team-based structure that made sense, but they weren't going for that. They were
At this particular point, I'm just going to end it with this one.
kind of going for a dream match. Every character possible in there. Who cares if it's balanced? Let everything murder each other. A lot of people said, well, this is very similar to the original Dragon Ball Budokai
You're right,
experience.
Flutter Dark. It
Well,
shouldn't.
if anything, can we just agree on something then? Maybe Dragon Ball Budokai was made in the past for a reason. It's outdated.
Even though when people found out that, oh, hey, they're making Sparking Zero in the same fashion as Budokai Tenkaichi, that was a good thing. I'm pretty damn sure when people found that out, people were rejoicing.
It's not a formula that really works in 2024 when people are looking for a game that's going to have bang for your buck value, competitive edge in nature. It just doesn't have any of those things. So because of that, 90% of the people are going to play it once or twice, put it out. I mean, I think that's a bigger player fall off than Mortal Kombat 1 had, quite frankly.
You know what?
A game that I had high expectations for. You guys hyped me up for it. And
no one hyped you up for this.
it really let me dip more than the other funny part, too. It's maybe 1 or 2 people ever mentioned it. Starting
Yeah. You know
to
what?
liked
I'm just skipping.
them. They ended up not being very good at all.
Oh,
right?
he's pouring his fucking cup from his thermos into it.
So I had his parents playing free mobile games, never touched it ever again.
You know what?
Just countdown. Yeah.
What's this one? What's the last one that he does?
Dragons Dogma 2.
Yep, the game that he called people mental midgets for. You know what? I'm just going to end it now. I'm just going to be completely ending this now. I'm ending it now. I do apologize for this, everybody. Go check out Tractor Goose. They're a lot better than I am. And they're not dealing with OBS issues. So, yeah. Whatever they do for the last part of it, I'm just going to end it now. I tried. OBS, thanks Jim Bailey. Thank you so much. You made a great product. And is this a rage quit? I'll come back to this later. I'll come back to this later when OBS decides to work for me. That is all. Internet issues, not OBS. No, it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both because of the fucking freeze. Yeah, I'm wage quitting. Yeah, I'm wage quitting this now. So you know what? No, I'm getting annoyed. I'm getting annoyed due to the fact that OBS keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down. Also, YouTube is pushing people to other streams, even though I had that as a backup. It just,
Why are you doing this to me?
it is just not working well for me today. Like, I tried. I sincerely tried with this. I did nothing wrong, did everything correct. It's a glitch, dude. Yeah, even though glitches happen, though, which I get, nothing we can do about those. I tried. That's all I gotta say. Is that I tried. And I hope everyone, I do apologize for everybody there, too. And just go support Tractor Goose, because Tractor Goose is actually doing this better than me without any issues. Goodbye.